Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, yeah, please.
Uh, Ravi, your voice is not clear. Hello. What issue from my side? Can you please confirm my voice is clear? Can we start now? Okay, sure. So can you please confirm like my voice? Yes. Okay. Okay, Ravi. So yeah, in this session we'll cover about the CI/CD pipeline. So before starting about the CI/CD pipeline, I just want to know like how you guys are aware about that AWS and any of the cloud provider. Because if I will create any of the CI/CD pipeline demos, for that I need instance. So if you are comfortable with AWS, then I will show you, I will guide you according to that only.
Okay. So once are you going to use Jenkins or like you are going to use?
What, Ravi?
So you are going to use Jenkins, right?
Yes, yes. So see, the thing is, we to install the Jenkins, okay, we need some virtual machine. Okay, so basically we are installing Jenkins on our server. Why we are doing like this? Because Jenkins is open source, and to install Jenkins, there are few prerequisites. Like if you want to install and work on the Jenkins, then the first important part is the Java. So Jenkins only work if there will be Java is installed on the any of the server. Without the Java, Jenkins won't work. So this is the one of the like main prerequisites. Okay, so basically yeah, to see the UI, like how the Jenkins looks like and all those things, so all those things we can configure only with the help of the server. Okay, so for that I will give you example using the EC2. Okay, so this is my personal AWS account. So what I will do, I will go through each and everything. Okay, how we can spin up the fresh Jenkins server, and from there, once the like setup is done, how we can launch the instance. After that, how we can configure, how we can play with the plugins, and how exactly we can create the pipelines, what are the options available in the Jenkins. Okay, so I will give like let's use this time AWS, because I have that account, and we can create that and we can delete it after. So yeah, we'll get like really minimum charge for it. So yeah, I will give you demo on that only. So if it's work, then yeah,
Yeah,
let me know.
good, 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 good,
Okay.
good.
Okay. Okay, so I hope like you guys are aware about the AWS. So yeah, so basically let me give you about the AWS, GCP, and Azure. So basically AWS, GCP, Azure, Oracle, IBM, they are the cloud provider. So before like cloud, we have the on-premise servers. So so basically we have the two types of servers. Okay, one is the on-premise server and another one is the cloud-based server. On-premise server means company have their own data centers where they have their hardwares. Okay, with the like CPU and all this configuration, which is basically physically available on their data center. So this kind of server we call it as a on-premise server. Second, we have the cloud-based server. So cloud-based server means suppose I want to deploy one application. Okay, application name is XYZ. Okay, now I am only developer. I just want to develop an application and I want to expose that application to the internet. Okay, so as a developer, or as a, let's assume I am the startup company, so I can't go ahead and I can't buy each and every resources, and I can't set up each and everything on my own premise, because I need to pay lots of money, and there will be no guarantee after spend that lots of money it will be successful. Okay, so to avoid this kind of situation, cloud virtual machine concept comes into the picture. Okay, so what cloud provider says, you can use and you can optimize their services. and you can just pay for what you will use. Okay, so because of that flexibility, most of the companies, most of the startups are moving towards with the cloud provider. Okay, so whatever they need, they just ask that from the cloud provider. So cloud provider will be enable that for that particular user, and once their uh, work is done, they can just release it. So just they need to pay for what they will use. Okay, so there will be with the help of that, they can save lots of the money. If their application will be not work in the future, then also they can just release the instance, and they just need to pay whatever they will use. Okay, so this is the concept behind that on-premise and the cloud services. Now let's talk about the cloud provider. So there are lots of the cloud provider in market. So cloud provider means who is offering this kind of virtual services. Okay, so we have the Amazon Web Services, we have the Azure, we have the GCP, we have the Oracle, we have the IBM, and there are lots of other cloud providers as well. But out of all these things, AWS and we can say GCP is most popular. Popular is like all the three companies and organization enterprises use all the cloud provider according to their uses. But AWS is the widely used. Why? Because AWS was the first who introduced the concept of the virtual services. Okay, so AWS introduced the concept of the virtual services. Hello.
Yeah, yeah. So we lost your voice once we started saying about the AWS. Maybe if
Okay,
you
okay,
can.
okay. Let me cover it again. Okay. Okay, so I was talking about the cloud AWS services. Okay, so basically what I was saying, like there are lots of the cloud provider in market. We have the AWS, we have the Azure, GCP, IBM, Oracle. But out of all this cloud provider, AWS is widely used. It capture around 70% market. Why? Because AWS is very old. AWS started providing these services around 2006. Okay, after that they have introduced lots of services. Now, if you see, so they have more than 80 plus services. Okay, so we can do all our things with the help of the AWS only. And there are few services which comes under the free tier account, and there are a couple of services, if we want to use them, then we need to pay it. And it offer us a pay as we go options. So whatever services, whatever computation resources we are using, just we need to pay for that services only. There will be no any reserve charges, there will be no any extra charges. Just we need to use the things, and once our task is over, just we can release it. So AWS generate the bill, and just we need to pay for it. So that's about the AWS. So, and yeah, one more thing, so we can create the free tier account also using the AWS. So it offer around 300 free tier instance users. Okay, so I just like you guys can create your AWS free tier account. So it will help you to just explore the AWS services, because there are lots of the services we have in the AWS. If you create the free tier account, then you can go through each and every services, which is very important. Like the EC2. EC2 is basically with the help of the EC2 we can create the virtual servers. Okay, we have we have the S3. Okay, so S3 is basically used to store the object. Am I audible now, right?
Just now we lost you, like maybe 30 seconds back, but now we are
Okay,
okay.
okay, yeah. So yeah, so I'm just talking about the AWS services. So once we get the free tier access, right? So we'll get all the services here. Okay, we can only use the services which are comes under the free tier account. So to create the instance and to store the bucket, there are few services which is widely used in marketplace. So like the EC2, with the help of the EC2, we can launch the instance and we can play with the virtual machines. We have the S3. S3 is basically used to store the data. It is simple storage services, and whatever data we have stored on the S3, AWS claim that that will be 99.99% highly available. Okay, so the all the important documents, all the important config file we are storing on the S3. So Amazon will only charge the data we have stored on the S3. Okay, and we can store up to the 5 TB. So, and we can also ask them to increase the size of the bucket. So these are the basic things we can just explore. And there are lots of the services also we have in the AWS, but out of that there are only few important services which we need to take care of and which we need to look into the first, like the VPC, the virtual private cloud, and security, virtual machines, IAM. Yeah, these are the few important things which we need to learn first. So yeah, I will start with the creating the instance, and I will go through the Jenkins installation first, then we'll discuss. Okay, so what I did,
Okay.
yeah, so let me go back again.
Hi, Shubham.
Hey, hi.
Hi. Are you sharing your screen? Because I'm
Yes, yes.
unable to see.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Oh man, just a second.
It's happening same for everyone. I thought you were just discussing politically, so you wasn't sure.
Okay, my screen visible
Yeah,
now?
now. Yeah, now.
Yes,
it's
yes.
visible.
Now it's visible.
Oh,
Shubham, before starting this, can I ask one quick question? So
yes,
when
please.
you mentioned this EC2 instance, correct? I just want to know more detail on EC2 instance. Like it's if you want to create anything, let's say I want to have my server set up and I want to run the application. So the only way is like we can create EC2 instance and there we can host our application, or we have other way also.
Yeah, okay. I got your question. So, see, basically in AWS, whenever we want to launch any of the instance, so EC2 basically offering the virtual machine. Okay, so in AWS, we are calling it as a EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud. In GCP, we calling it as a virtual machine. Okay, so basically this is not the fully AWS managed service. Okay, if we are creating the EC2, that means we need to provide each and every detail. Like we need to configure, we need to provide the VPC configuration details, we need to provide the security group details, we need to provide the key pairs, we need to attach the volume, storage type, and we need to choose the AMI, that is the Amazon machine image, like which kind of flavor we want to use, like the window, Ubuntu, Linux, whatever it is. So when we are creating the EC2, we need to pass each and everything manually. Okay, it won't take by default by the AWS. Okay, the second thing you are talking about, any other services? Yes, we have the one more services called AWS Elastic Beanstalk. If you see here, Elastic Beanstalk. Okay, so if you want to create any of the server using the Elastic Beanstalk, so what it will do, just you need to choose the instance type, and everything is taken care by the Elastic Beanstalk only. So Elastic Beanstalk is the fully AWS managed service. You won't need to take care of the any of the server, any of the volume, any of the backend things. Everything will be taken care by the AWS only. Just you need to create, you need to provide your important what application you want to, suppose you want to create the Node.js based application, so just you need to pass that information and you can create the application. So you can consider Elastic Beanstalk is a platform as a service. Okay, so in cloud we have the three types of the services available. We have the infrastructure as a service, we have the platform as a service, and we have the software as a service. So Elastic Beanstalk basically provide as a platform. So just everything backend will be taken care by the AWS, and just we need to deploy our code, and our application will be up and working fine. But if we are going with the Elastic Beanstalk, then we need to pay for it. Okay, it will be chargeable. for each and every resources used by the Elastic Beanstalk. That's why what we are using it, because now we are using the free tier, as well as in like general enterprise level also, like in my organization also, we are spin up the server based on the EC2 only, because there are lots, like we have the EFS, we have the EC2, and when we are creating the Kubernetes cluster, then also we are basically whatever we are creating, the base should be some instance, right? Suppose you want to implement the Java based application or Jenkins, so to install that thing you require some server. Okay, so the best practice is you can choose the EC2. In EC2 also there is lots of the size and lots of class available. Okay, we can choose according to our requirement, according to our uses, and based on that only we need to pay for it. Okay, so with the help of that we can save a lots of the money. So there are basically two approaches used by the organization. One is the EC2, where we need to fill the manual data, and if you go ahead with the Elastic Beanstalk, then everything's taken care by the AWS only. Like we have the EKS also. I hope you aware about the EKS, Elastic Kubernetes Services. So if you are using the Elastic Kubernetes services, so control plan is fully managed by the AWS. Okay, so AWS claim that you don't need to take care of the control plan structure. We will take care of your control plan it, and we make sure that your control plan won't be down. Just you need to take care of your data plan. But if we are going with that EKS services and our budget is not that high, then we need to pay lots of money to the AWS, because if they are managing anything, then they are charging lots of money. Okay, so this is the main difference between the EC2 and the Elastic Beanstalk, and that's why most of the company are using the EC2 for the best instance. And there are lots of the families also. We have the EC2 instance. So let me show you that as well.
One more quick question. So let's say I want to have my like Docker thing. Okay. So is it possible to install Docker, like
Yes,
create pod on EC2?
yes, definitely. We can do that as well. We can install Docker on the EC2 instance as well.
Okay.
And this is what we are doing, because see, uh, what is Docker? So Docker is basically a container services only, right?
Yes. Correct. So once again, we lost your voice. Is it same for other also?
Yes, Ravi.
पल्लवी एक ही करो तो मुकेश को और सोनल को भी ये लिंक कर देना।
मैं भी यही सोच रही थी, तो आपने बोल दिया, अच्छा हुआ।
Hello.
Yeah, hello, Shubham.
Yeah,
Now
yeah,
you're
sorry.
audible.
Actually,
Yeah.
due to the climate is not good, I'm getting network issue.
Yes. Poor network, yeah.
Yeah. So let me share my screen again. And in between also, if you see any discriminations from my end, then kindly ping me or kindly let me know. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
They'll
Yeah.
inform you.
Okay. So yeah, I am talking about the EC2 only. And about that Ravi question, yes, we definitely can install the Docker over the instance. And yeah, what I'm saying about the container. So container is also a virtual machine only. Okay, so the only difference between the EC2 and container is very lightweight. If we talk about the EC2 instance, so let's assume this instance only. So if we want to run that particular virtual machine, so we need to configure lots of the parameter. We need to configure volume, we need to configure security group, we need to configure the storage type, lots of the thing we need to configure. Okay, but when we are running the container, so container basically use the best image from the Docker hub. Okay, that's why it is very lightweight. Okay, so that part we'll discuss later on. It might like confuse you. So yeah, I hope like you understand, Ravi, what I'm saying.
Yes, I'm clear. Yeah. I just want to
Okay.
know high level only, and I'm clear now. Yeah.
Sure, sure. So let me also give you high level on the EC2, because EC2 is the first step and we should know basics and how the purchasing options are available in the EC2. Okay. So if you talk about the EC2, so in EC2, there are lots of the types available in the EC2. Okay. So instance type means what will be the types of the instance we can use for our application. We have the general purpose, we have the compute optimized, we have the memory optimized, we have the GPU is optimized. Okay, so these are the types of the EC2 instance. So based on our requirement, we can choose the instance type. Okay, so see, if you see here it's only showing the T2 Nano and T1 Micro. Why? Because right now I'm using my free tier account. So for free tier, only Micro and Nano instance are available. Okay, we can't use the high powerful like the memory or storage kind of instance, because they like we need to pay for it. That's why for the free tier account, for the testing purpose, they only provide us the Micro and the Nano instance. Okay, so again, like suppose we want to use anything for the live streaming, okay, for the news purpose or anything. So for that kind of services, we always go with the high GPU, high IO type of the instance. So we need to choose that instance only. The instance should have the high input and the output operation. So this kind of instance only help on. Okay, so these are the like types of the EC2 instance available. Okay, so yeah, we have the C types, R types, so there are lots of the families available. Now let's talk about the purchasing option. Yes. Okay, so if you see here, so there are a couple of where we can buy this instance. So let's ignore for now the free tier account. Okay, so because for the free tier we don't need to pay anything, but if we want to deploy anything on our AWS server, then we need to buy some instance for some limitation of time, for 1 year, for 2 year, for 3 year, because we can't choose that uh, like very low configuration instance. Okay, so what AWS offer basically three types of the instance per se option. First is the on demand, then we have the spot instances, then we have the reserve instances. So on demand instances, that means whatever price. So basically AWS instance price based on the bid. Okay, so whatever AWS, like suppose I want to purchase some instance. Okay, so there will be like bid is processing behind on that particular thing. Okay, so AWS, whenever you want to purchase anything, so based on the current rate we can purchase some instance. So suppose right now we are working on some application and immediately we require something that we need to create some database, and we need one instance like M2 instance immediately. So what we can do is we can just buy it using the on demand instance. So whatever price going on for that particular instance, we need to pay for it and we can reserve this instant for our use. Second option, we have the spot instances. So spot instances are basically based on the request. So it is very as compared to the on demand, it is very cheap. Like it will get more than 80 to 90% discount. But the only problem using the spot instances is once the limit and once the bid is over, it will just AWS will send a mail that you need to release this instance immediately within 2 hours or 3 hours. Otherwise, we will like destroy each and everything. We will terminate your application. Okay. So for the testing purpose, or suppose you want to upload some data. Okay. So for that kind of purpose, you can use the spot instances. Second, we have the reserve instances. Okay. So this is widely used in the industry. So in reserve instances, we need to create one request and we can reserve instances for at least 3 years or 5 years. So as compared to the on demand, we'll get reserve instances is more than 70 to 80% discount. But here the condition is we need to block the instance for 3 to 5 years. Okay. So suppose we have set up an application and we know that this application will run at least for 3 years. So what the best practice we can do is we can go and we can choose the reserve instances. We can purchase according to our requirement, and yeah, and we can reserve it for 3 years, so that price will be constant, and we only need to pay very less amount as compared to the on-demand instances. So these three types of the instances are purchasing options available in the EC2. So we can choose this according to our requirement. I hope that point is also clear.
Yeah, for me it's clear.
Okay. So yeah, let me show you and let install something so it will give us a clear picture. Okay. So yeah, this is our console only. Let me show you from scratch. Okay. So once we get the access, okay, we'll get this type of console home page. So here you will see the few services which are commonly used. Here we have the reason wise services, and also we'll get the health checks. So this is the AWS health check status. So suppose is there any down side or any issue from the AWS services, then it will show us here. Suppose AWS US East 1 region impacting some issue or some latency issue. So that kind of thing we can see here. Okay, so we can identify if we are facing any issue, then yeah, it will due to the AWS only. So AWS will create some root cause and it will provide us the proper documentation why that issue occur, and yeah, so we can get to know like why our application is not performing on that particular time well. So yeah, this is the thing, and these are the reasons. Okay, so reasons mean if we talk about the basically these are the reasons means these are the availability zone, and these are the data center where we can run our application. Okay, so if you see here, so in yeah, US East 1, US East 2. So whenever like we are deploying anything on the production and non-production, so we have segregated this into the two regions. So mostly for production, suppose if we are deploy anything on the production, so you are using the US East 1. So all your production data application, everything will be on that US East 1 region. And suppose you have the staging environment where you are testing and you are doing the analytics test and for development purpose, so you can set up that environment on the different region. Okay, so just you need to select it according to a requirement. So whenever you are working on it, you make sure that both the servers and everything should be parallelly working, so there will be no any conflict. So whatever we have in the OHI, it won't show on the any other reason. So whatever we have developed on that particular reason should be work only on that particular reason. So that's why we can choose reason according to our requirement and we can start working. So for now, let's choose the US system one only. So we'll launch one EC2 instance. Okay. Yeah. So, and one more thing. So might be because you will see there are like very less resources because this is my free tier account. And if you have the license and if you have the organization AWS account, you will see other things as well. So yeah, you can just ignore this. So launch instance. Okay, so from here we can launch instance. Okay, so we are creating the Jenkins only, right? So just give it as a name Jenkins CI/CD, or just give it a Jenkins only for our best reference. Okay, so this is basically name of our EC2 instance. We can give whatever we need and whatever we required. Okay, yeah. So this is the important thing. Amazon machine image. Okay, so we need to choose the operating system type. So these are the operating system image only. Okay, so operating system image means which type of image you want to use for this particular server. So like currently we are using the window. Okay, so on our server we have configured the windows OS. Some for some user, for Mac user, they use the Mac OS. We have the Ubuntu, we have the Red Hat, Amazon Linux. There are lots of the option available, so we can choose this according to our requirement. If I want to choose the window Microsoft, so once I have created that particular instance, okay, and when I log into that particular instance, I will see window as an operating system. Okay, so like that we have right now, I will see that only. Okay, so these are the image only we can choose according to our requirement, but for the better purpose, and we can go ahead with the Ubuntu. Why we can choose Ubuntu? Because it is very lightweight, and again we are into the free tier, so it won't charge us like anything, and it will like operate also very fast as compared to the window. So we can choose it. And so this is basically the image only, the operating system which we need to use on the server. And if you click here, okay, so there are again lots types of the Ubuntu flavor available. Okay, we have the Ubuntu servers 24.0 for LTS. Okay, SSD volume type. So these two are the free tier 64-bit arm. If we choose the standard, then again we need to pay for it. Okay, see. So but the best thing is we always go with the free tier account. Just select the free tier eligible. Okay, and this is the image ID. So right now we are creating this from the management console only, right? So we need to choose and we need to select directly from the console. But suppose if we want to launch this instance using the Terraform. So in Terraform, you basically need to provide the details like the provider, reason, or these things, right? So there is an option when you need to select the AMI ID also. Okay, so this AMI ID you can take it from here. Okay, so for all the OS and for all the AMI, they have their own separate image ID. So when you are creating anything from the console, you will get that image ID from here. So you need to copy that image ID and you need to paste on the Terraform template. And once you run the Terraform in it, it will create that particular OS on your server. So that is required on that purpose. So let's choose the Ubuntu only. Okay. And this is the instance type I'm talking about, right? The free tier instance and all these things. So if you select, if you click here, let me show you this as well. See, yeah, I was talking about the instance type, right? Like we have the general purpose, compute optimized, memory optimized. So these are the types of the instance available here. So see, there are seven, 6+ instance are available. So why by default T2 micro is choose? Because it's come under the free tier. We can also have the T1 micro, but right now we are installing Jenkins on it. So best thing is we can go ahead with the T2 micro. If you scroll down, so we have the C class. Okay, so C class comes under the general purpose. And if you see, there are lots of, these are the families: M5, M5D, Okay, but if you choose this, then you need to pay for it. So these are the default vCPU you will get. Architecture is X 86. This kind of architecture will get. We can get 386 GB storage. Will get this kind of thing. SSD. Okay, so based on our requirement, we can choose it. So there are lots of the options available. So that's about the instance type. Yeah. After that, yeah, we also need to create the key pair. Okay, so key pair is required for the authentication. So suppose right now we are using it for demo purpose, right? So if we can directly go ahead with the without key pair authentication, but it is not recommended when we are dealing with the main enterprise production server. But always you will get some key pair. So key pair is nothing but it is combination of the public and the private key. So it will authenticate that key, and it will only allow that user who have that key to access to that server. But for now we can process without the key pair only. And yeah, this is the network setting. So these are the important parameter which we need to configure here. So if you see here, okay, so by default VPC is this. Okay, so there is also option available to create the custom VPC. So custom means we need to create our own VPC, we need to create our own subnet, and we need to create our own IP, like the elastic IP, and we can attach to that particular instance. But again, yeah, by default also we'll get that option. So for demo purpose we can choose that. And here we have the security group options also available. Yeah, so allow SSH traffic from anywhere. So SSH, always we need to allow the SSH means we are running that. Suppose if I want to launch that particular instance from my local, then we require the SSH, and this SSH work on the port 2020. So always we need to allow that particular port from anywhere. For now, let's allow the HTTPS request and HTTP request as well. Why we allowing this? Because Jenkins is work on the port 8080. If we won't allow this particular thing, and if we install Jenkins on that particular server, then it won't work. Okay, why? Because Jenkins is work on the port 8080. So port 8080 is basically it will be like the particular server will be exposed to the internet, then only it will work. So for that we can allow both HTTP traffic. And these are the basic configuration. So just go with the add and the GP3 advanced details. Let me check if we can fill anything. So host name we can leave auto recovery capacity block. Yeah, you can just not required this user data. Yeah, so let me tell you about the user data also. So these are the important things. We are using user data when we are updating anything. So whenever we are launching any of the EC2 instance, and so basically mostly we are using EC2 instance, creating EC2 instance using the Terraform or from the backend only. But suppose you need to launch any of the EC2 instance, and you want to make sure that whenever your EC2 instance is up, there are few important configuration file or few important services that should be run on that particular services. Okay, so for that you are writing the user data. So user data is nothing but it is the kind of the bin bash script file. Okay, so suppose in that particular instance you want to install httpd. Okay, so just you can pass this thing. So what it will do once we launch that particular instance, right? So it will firstly check for all the things which we have configured it, and after that it will make sure that whatever user data we have provided, it will run that particular thing also. So when we see in the output, so on that time our instance is up, and whatever configuration we have provided here, it should be running on that particular server. So for that purpose we are using the user data. Suppose I have launched one instance and I want to make sure that whenever this instance is up, it should be up to date. So what I will do in user data, I will pass a sudo update in update anything like Ubuntu. Suppose Okay, so what it will do once the instance is launched, it will run this particular command and it makes sure that Ubuntu server is up to date. So this kind of the user data we can pass inside that this option. But let's leave this for now. And okay, so my instance is successfully launched. Let's open that instance. Okay. Let's load this. So instance state is in running state, but just wait for the status check. It should be, the initialization should be completed. Then only we can directly log into our public IPv4 address. And one more thing. So if so, once that instance is ready and up, what we need to do is we need to copy that public IP and we need to SSH into that public IP. So there are a couple of tools we have. We have the super putty, we have the putty. Okay, so are the basically third-party tools. We need to install that on our system, and with the help of that, we can SSH to that particular instance. But AWS offer one more thing. I will show you that, and with the help of that only, we can directly access to the that particular instance. It will take some time. Let's wait. Okay, see, if you see here, instance stage is in running and status check is passed. Okay, so 2 by 2 passed means it will just initialize that particular thing and it will it will just give us a thumbs up that whatever you have configured and whatever you are going to create is fine from the AWS side. Okay, so these are the basic details we have here: the creation time, the platform which we are using, the security group name. We can also change this name. Okay, and monitoring is disabled, we can also enable that, but for now let's leave that thing. IP, we have choose the IP for, that's why we are getting the IP for address here. Availability zone, so we have choose the US East 1, but inside that we have the data center. So by default US East 1C, where that particular instance is created. Okay, so how we can launch that instance is just select that particular instance, click here, and there is option is AWS to connect. Okay, so with the help of the instance connect, we can directly SSH to that particular instance. So this is the best way to directly SSH into the our server. And yeah, if you see here, there are other options as well. Using the session manager also we can SSH client. So the putty and the super putty are the SSH client. EC2 console also we can SSH, but the best and the simplest way to SSH into a server is EC2 Instance Connect. Click on the EC2 Instance Connect. These are the instance ID for the Jenkins. Okay, these are the public IP, and the username is the Ubuntu. Click here, connect. Okay, so I successfully logged into my server. If you see here, let's run the uptime. So see, up 4 minutes ago, and and yeah, the memory and the basic process thing. And one more thing, so if you want to see is there any process running on that system, so just run the top command. See, there is no any processes running on that system. Okay, once we install the Jenkins, we'll see the Jenkins process will run on that particular Ubuntu server. These are the system ed, the system related files are running. Control C. Okay, so now our task is, so right now just we have created the server. Okay, but we need to install the Jenkins on that server, right? So to install Jenkins, I told you on starting only, so Java is the prerequisite, right? So without Java you can't install the Jenkins. Okay, so let's install the Java first. Let's update this first. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about on the user data. So I have just launched up the EC2 instance. Now just I want to make sure that whatever uh, image I am using, it should be up to date. So what I did, I just run the sudo apt update. So it will update my Ubuntu server, but I don't want to run that manually. So I will pass that thing on the user data. So once that instance will be up, by default on the backend, all the commands which I passed on the user data will run. So we make sure that everything is up and running fine. Now let's install the Java sudo apt. I have that. Okay, and you will get all the thing on the Google only. Just you need to type command to install Java on Ubuntu. Okay, so you will get the official document, see Ubuntu, so you can just install it. I just copied it to my local and paste. We need to type yes. Okay, so Java is installed now. Let me check Java version. So Java hyphen version is command to check the Java version. See, open open JDK version 11.0.26 and open JDK environment building. So see, Java is installed in my system. Okay, now I need to install Jenkins. Okay, so again, what we need to do, just we need to type over Google, so you will get the official document and you can get it from there. So that is what I did, and this is the command to install Jenkins. If you want, I will explain you that as well. So just give you the overview about that command only. It is nothing but it is just curl, and this is the path where the Jenkins Debian is present. So it is taking that from that particular path. Okay, so this file you will get from the Jenkins official document only. Okay, and after that it is running the sudo apt get update and sudo apt get install Jenkins. Okay, so just hit enter. Unable to install the sudo apt. Jenkins service status. Okay, let me run this again. Carlo Epic unable to locate package Jenkins. I am getting this error. Let me check. Sudo we get. Let's copy this. Okay, so let me show you why this particular command is not work, because see, I use the curl. Okay, and if you see here on the official document, it's running the sudo wget. So wget command is used to download anything from the internet. Okay, so it's like just this kind of thing will get. It's totally based on the flavor. So sometime a command work on the Linux, Red Hat Linux, some is not work on the Ubuntu. So both are the flavors. So okay, so scanning and we're running out of the hyperversion binary. So this is now up to date. Okay, so our Jenkins is installed here. Now what we can do, just we need to check Jenkins is open out. Copy the public IP, copy here, and run on the port 8080. If it's not work, then we need to check on the security port 8080. Let's confirm. Security group. Security group. Launch. Let's edit inbound role, HTTP head role, TCP. It will work this time. Okay, so yeah, that's let me tell you what I did. Okay, so we have successfully launched our EC2 instance. Okay, everything is fine, but I told you that Jenkins is only work on the port 8080. Okay, but if we see here on the security group, that particular port is not allowed. We only allow the HTTP and HTTP at port 80 and port 443. So what I did, I just enable the inbound rule and I have passed that 8080 port. Okay, so once the I have passed the 8080 port with yeah, with that particular IP, we'll get that dashboard. Now we need to get and we need to grab the admin password to log into the Jenkins. Okay, so Jenkins provided that particular path for lib Jenkins secret and this. So just copy this path. Okay, and paste it, hit enter. Permission denied. So run this using the sudo. Okay, okay, okay. CD war lib Jenkins secret for lib Jenkins secret. Sorry, I need to run it using the cat. Copy. Okay, see, so what I did, that dashboard page is open, and to unlock the Jenkins we need some password, right? So Jenkins said that you need to open that particular path, so you will get the password and you need to press that password here, so you will open that admin dashboard and everything. So I just open it using the cat command. So here is my password. Okay, let's copy this. We can save this. Okay, copy. Paste it here. That's never. Okay, so yeah, now Jenkins suggests us to install some suggest plugin, because Jenkins always work on the plugins to integrate with the all the open source and all the tools like the Maven, Kubernetes, and all those things. So we'll click on the install suggested plugin. So all the plugin will be installed. So these are the like commonly used plugin. That's why Jenkins suggests us to install this. So the plugin for Git, LDAP, pipeline, timestamp, okay, GitHub branch, SSH. So these are the basic plugin we are used for day-to-day activity. So suppose you want to integrate Git with the Jenkins. Okay, so what you need is you need Git plugin. You would firstly need to implement that Git plugin. Then you need to go to your Git account. You will create your access token, username or password, whatever you are using, and you can pass that on the managed credential. So Git with Jenkins will be authenticated. This is how Jenkins will work. Okay, so by default, you need to provide that change your password. Okay, let's take any other password. Let's give my main ID. Okay, so this is the Jenkins URL. Okay, so Jenkins is ready. If you want to check, there is option to check. You can also try it. Okay, so this is my Jenkins dashboard. So now we can play over it. This type of pipeline we need to create. There are lots of other options. So yeah, so that's the thing. So whenever we want to install Jenkins, firstly we need to install it. Firstly we need to install the Java, because Java is the prerequisite. After that, you need to do couple of things, and it will always work on the port 8080. And here you will see it's saying that and not secure. Why? Because there is no certificate we have used. Okay, so when we are working on the production environment, then organization will create the certificate, so that will be taken care by the network team only. So just we can implement this according to our requirement. Okay, so how, like and one more thing, Jenkins always work with the plugins. Okay, Jenkins is open source. Whenever we want to integrate or Jenkins with any of the open source, suppose Maven, Kubernetes, Docker, or any of the tools, how you can do that thing, you need to install the plugin. So Jenkins work with the plugin. There are lots of the plugins available. You firstly need to install that plugin, and after that just you need to authenticate it. See plugin. Okay, so whatever whenever you need to create the CI/CD pipeline, you require some tools, like you need Maven. After that you need Docker Hub. Then there will be some secret store like the Vault, then Argo CD, then Kubernetes, where we are storing the manifest file. So all these things, how you can integrate, you need to come into to the plugin option, and you need to click available plugin, and just you can search. So suppose you want to install Kubernetes plugin. So Kubernetes client API plugin is available. You need to install the Docker. So Docker plugins are available. Suppose you need to install Git. So Git plugins are available. Okay, so with the help of that, you can first install that plugin. After that, using that authentication managed credential, you can go to that particular tool, and you can create the token, and you can map it uh, using Jenkins. So that authentication, once the authentication done, that flow will start working. So that is we can like how we can install the Jenkins or server. And other thing we can discuss on the like next session, how we can map and how we can create the CI/CD pipeline, how Jenkins, Kubernetes, Maven, Docker will integrate to each other. If you have any question, then yeah, please ask me. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, hi. So yeah, I hope you understand like how the initial step will be there. Basically, we can't install Jenkins on the some web server or anything or directly. So that is the approach we are following it. So firstly, we need to tag the instance, and we need to install the Java. Then we need to install Jenkins on that server. And there are a couple of things on the Jenkins. There are the like pipeline options. We can go ahead with the freestyle pipeline. We can create the syntax based. We have the pipeline concept. We can create using the declarative approach. So that are the things which we can discuss on the next lecture. So Let me know if you have any question till now. Ravi? Okay, so other than Ravi, anyone have any question what I did till now? Then yeah.
No, Shubham, no question from my side.
No, Shubham, no question from my side.
Hope you understand what I did and how I expose
Yes.
the security.
Yes, yes.
Okay, then if you are good, then we'll catch up on next session where we can discuss about how we can create the declarative pipeline and how the pipeline works. So
Okay.
I have one diagram. So I'm on screen share only, right?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, this is the approach we have followed in my current production environment. So just now what we did, we have configured the Jenkins. Okay. After that, in next tutorial, what we're going to do is we'll configure the Maven, we'll configure the Sonar Cube. Okay. Then once the code, I will try to take some demo code. Then we can build that code and we can test it using that Maven test, and we can put that code on the Docker Hub. And with the help of the script or some and like any image updater, we can update on the manifest file. And there will be one more component, Argo CD. This is widely used nowadays as a continuous delivery tool. So if you see this diagram, so source code is basically our Jenkins,
Okay.
Git. So Git, Jenkins, Maven, and Sonar Cube. These four components come under the continuous integration part. Continuous integration means, so developer write the code, okay, with the help of the Jenkins, it will with the help of the Jenkins, it will come into the pipeline. Maven will do the compilation of that particular code. If everything is work, it will create the output as a var dot any like var or jar file. With after that we have the Sonar Cube. Sonar Cube is test vulnerability tool. It will check that it will basically test the code. Is there any vulnerability or is there a code defect, anything on there on the code or not? If anything is fine, everything is fine, it will say yeah, everything is fine on that particular code. After that, what we do, we'll put that code on some artifacts. Okay, so like we are using Google artifacts or any of the like the JFrog, where we store that artifacts, and from that artifacts we are pulling that image, and Argo CD will help us to sync between that code from the manifest file to the Git where our source code is present. Okay, so this is the entire CI/CD architecture used by the most of the environment, most of the companies. Okay, so the only thing is they will use some different tool. In place of Maven, some company will use the Gradle. In place of SonarCube, some company will use the Selenium or Ant or any other open source testing tools. Uh, Here we are using Docker Hub to store the images. We can also use the JFrog or artifactories. Image updater is kind of the scripting language. We can achieve this with the help of the Lambda, Python, or shell scripting. Argo CD, again, it is the continuous deployment tool. So once our code is ready, by default, it will Argo CD will pull that code and deploy to our manifest file. So if we follow this step, so all the entire CI/CD pipeline will be automated. Just we need to push that code, and entire thing will be taken care by the this CI/CD process. And after that, once it's ready, it will deploy to the finally manifest file. Okay, so this is how CI/CD structure looks like. So just now we have just installed the Jenkins. After that, we can configure the Maven, and we'll try to configure the Sonar Cube and see how the code actually work on the live environment. Okay, then if you not have any question, then yeah, we can drop off.
Yeah, Shubham, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.